Thanks, Brandis. Earlier in the program, we discussed the battle over the new ward map, which will determine the power distribution in City Hall for the next 10 years. And we're joined again by Alderman Scott Waguespack, Gilbert Villegas, Stephanie Coleman, and Jason Irvin. Alderman Waguespack, the mayor announced that she is going to D.C., in fact, is likely already there at this point. She's going to miss the final hours of the negotiation here. She is not going to preside over this meeting where a map could be voted on. Is that problematic?
No. So Alderman Riley would take over the seat as the temporary chair, and the aldermen would still be able to have their vote and have the discussion in the public setting.
But Alderman Coleman, shouldn't the mayor be a part of this? This is a big vote. This is a historic vote, and the mayor rarely ever misses city council meetings.
I think we've got this.
All right, short and to the point. So that tells me that the mayor's role here isn't very substantive in this debate, at least at this point going forward. Alderman Irvin, the person in the Rules Committee that's leading the drawing of the map, Mike Casper, longtime counsel to former House Speaker Mike Madigan. There are alder people that are crowing that one of Casper's chief goals here is to protect the turf of Madigan protege, 13th Ward Alderman Marty Quinn, and indicted 14th Ward Alderman Ed Burke. Is that what this map is going to do?
That's not about this process. This process has been open and a transparent process to the members of the council. The Rules Committee has been operating in a very open way. All of us have had opportunities to come in and draw and look at different iterations of the map. And I do not believe that anyone is trying to, quote unquote, protect anyone. These are two predominantly Latino wards. And I think that however those wards are done will work to the advantage of the Latino community, as they're both predominantly Latino wards.
Alderman Villegas, do you see that behind the scenes happening here? 14th Ward Alderman Ed Burke trying to exert some influence, and 13th Ward Alderman Madigan protege Marty Quinn to protect their jobs?
I would say that of all the attorneys that are in Chicago, we have to pick, the committee rules has to hire Mike Casper, who currently is defending the state in a lawsuit with MALDEF and NAACP around discrimination from Latinos for shortchanging them out of district, as well as African Americans down in East St. Louis area. So of all the council members, all the council that's out there, we pick Mike Casper, and those same type of antics around discrimination around Latinos is occurring right now. And I think that this is just a ploy to disenfranchise Latinos. The reality is that this has been the least transparent process in probably the city's history. We are going to see a map tomorrow for the first time. 14 members of the city council have yet to see a map, and we'll be seeing it for the first time tomorrow, and then being asked to whether support it or not support it.
All right, so Alderman Irvin, I'll give you a chance to respond since he's talking about the map that you want to unveil. What's your response to that?
I totally disagree with that. Again, Alderman Villegas and other members of the caucus have been able to be part of the process, and they decided to stand up their own process. And in the process of doing that, decided to create what I would consider to be a weak Latino ward in a way that is what I would consider to be a moral victory, but electorally will lose Latino members of this body. I do not want to be part of a mapping process that reduces the voting strength of the Latino community, nor do I want to be part of a process that reduces the voting strength of the African American community. I took you at your word the last time we were here, Alderman Villegas, and you asked us to look at the ways to create a 15th ward without harming the African American community. But even though it didn't harm the African American community, it harmed your community so much that you chose not to do that. And that's why we believe that 14 is the appropriate number, because it continues to put Latino majority wards in the low to mid 50% range, which we know are not effective Latino majority wards in the city of Chicago.
The problem there is that the maps that are currently stood up in the black wards that are being stood up are being backfilled once again by the Latino population, not having the ability to create its own ward. When you take a look at the Chicago Lawn area in Marquette Park, There's 80,000 Latinos that are there, which could create a new ward. However, 54,000 of them are being used as backfill.
So basically, you're saying that this could be diluting the Latino vote. So you two clearly don't disagree. Alderman Coleman, doesn't look like there's any agreement. Is this going to go to public referendum? What's so bad about that? What's so bad about having voters choose on their maps?
You know, I know that this is a very contentious time. Drawing a map is never easy, but we're all fighting for the same thing: better schools, job opportunities, and addressing violence in the city. It happens on the South Side, it happens on the West Side, on the North Side. That is the goal here. And I am very hopeful for a successful meeting on tomorrow.
On a lower level, Alderman Wagasback, Lincoln Yards, the massive new proposed development, is playing into this a bit. It's currently in the 2nd Ward. Alderman Hopkins has that seat right now. You want it in the 32nd Ward, which is the ward that you're the alderman of. Why is that?
Well, it always used to be in the 32nd Ward. Remember in the last map, the 2nd Ward was drawn up like a snake up through the Park area. And what we're trying to do is just make our ward compact, contiguous, and part of the community that it was in the first place. So this literally kind of just draws the lines back to where they were and provides community input and community content.
Can I ask which map, though, would give that to the 32nd Ward?
Right now, it would be the citywide map.
The citywide map, so not the Latino caucus map.
No, under that map, I was one of the people who went to the offsite Latino caucus map room, and I talked to them about that, and they couldn't agree that that was a good idea. So I said I couldn't support that map, and based on community preferences. And I think that's, it's one piece of a much larger puzzle that aldermen are working on, but I think it's an important one because of the future of the area for decades to come.
Alderman Villegas, if you had to wager a guess here, is it pretty clear that there will not be 41 votes tomorrow? This is not going to get resolved, and it will go to public referendum.
Oh, I'm going to say that the 41 votes are not there. But as you stated earlier, there still is an opportunity to try to come to 41 after December 1st, but that'll have to happen real quickly. And also, again, people will have to come to the table willing to compromise. And Paris, let me just correct you for a second. I didn't agree that those wards were diluted. The way that we draw our wards in the Chicago Coalition map actually strengthen the Latino wards as well as the African American wards. So, and creates the first Asian ward at 51%. So it creates 3 majority minority wards.
And that first Asian ward is one thing that you do agree on. There's been a big campaign for that. And just to clarify for our viewers, as I understand, even if there is no agreement tomorrow and it does go to referendum, you can find 41 votes somewhere in the next 5-6 months, and that referendum would be canceled. So it's not exactly a hard deadline, but it's something that clearly you all do want to wrap up by tomorrow. But we have to wrap this discussion up right now. Our thanks to Alderman Scott Wagasback, Gilbert Villegas, Stephanie Coleman, and Jason Irvin. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.